All right, good morning. I just want to talk to you guys for a minute about what we do after the AP exam. Obviously, you took the AP exam on Friday. Hopefully, that went okay. Your weekend wasn't miserable. We'll talk about that next week also. So the next thing we're going to do is we have two things left to do for the year. One is to prep for the UConn exam, which we will do. And the second thing is to do our project on Bad Hollywood. And I'll explain what that means in just a second. So for quarter four, we obviously had very few grades. Normally, I use a couple of practice tests to give you grades for quarter four, and we just had a few homeworks, and that's it, no practice tests. So Bad Hollywood is a project we do. It's lots of fun. You're going to, I'll show you a couple examples. You're going to find a movie or a TV commercial or a TV show or something where they attempt to use physics, but they do it poorly. And there's a million examples of things out there. There's actually web pages where people have done this. Please don't copy one. That's the only thing that will destroy your grade. I mean, what should be an A plus is if you steal something from somebody else. So please don't do that. I'm going to show you a couple of examples. I'll show you the rubric. You will have some class time to work on this, and you'll have some do it on your own time. Normally, I have you work in groups of 2 or 3, but this year, because the class is relatively small, I'm going to ask that each person do their own Bad Hollywood project. And again, it's only going to take you a couple hours at the very most. I do have a sign-up sheet because I don't want people doing the exact same thing. So Evan, you cannot do the exact same movie you did last year. And you also can't do something that somebody else is doing. So I will have a sign-up sheet on my webpage. I'll make a topic called Bad Hollywood, and I'll have a sign-up sheet there, and I'll put all the documents there, just like we did for the other stuff. So the base idea is this. You're going to find a movie that has a scene in it. And the scene could be 5 seconds, the scene could be 5 minutes, but the scene is attempting to use physics correctly, but they're not. And one of my favorites that was done a couple of years ago was somebody did a project on the movie Up. So Up, you may recall, was a animated movie a couple of years ago. So let me show you their presentation. And I'll put a rubric up there and show you the whole thing. So just let me get this loaded. So this was several years ago. It was Aaron and Ashley. They picked, in the movie Up, if you remember, Carl doesn't want his house taken away, so he attaches a bunch of helium balloons to his house, and the house floats away before the bad guys before the man can take away his house. So, and again, you'll see this on the rubric. So they picked this movie, and they said, is it possible? By the way, you could confirm that it's legit. So they were trying to say, can you actually lift a house with a bunch of balloons, helium balloons? Will it actually happen? So the presentation goes like this. So the first thing you want to do, and again, you'll see this on the rubric and the sheet, is you want to find the clip. Now, getting the clip, often the clip that you're looking for is on YouTube. If you actually own the movie, you can actually record that. You can find it someplace, but I need to actually be able to see the clip. The best thing to do is put a YouTube link. But if you can embed, don't attach, but embed the clip into your presentation, that's fine too. So their clip is the following. And they found it on YouTube, so I'll go to YouTube and I'll maximize this after ad for Grammarly, probably. Okay, good. My computer's slow.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Mr. Fredrickson. You ready to go?
Frozen.
Ready as I'll ever be. Could you do me a favor and take this? I'll meet you at the van in just a minute.
If you haven't seen this movie, I recommend you rent it. It's a good movie.
Last goodbye to the old place.
Real cute movie.
Sure. Take all the time you need, sir. That's typical. He's probably going to the bathroom for the 80th time. You'd think he'd take better care of his house.
That's the thought. Typical Pixar, very high quality graphics. Very well done.
I'll send you a postcard from Paradise Falls.
I love the light playing on the walls. Really good, great animation. So you get the idea. That's the premise. And what they're saying in this video is, can that actually happen? If you attach a bunch of balloons to a house, can you actually lift the house up and have it fly away? So that's the premise behind their presentation. So what you need to do is so first of all, again, you need to find the clip that's relevant. It's usually a couple minutes long. YouTube's a great source. And then they're going to go into the physics. And this is where most of the points lie. Now, they didn't necessarily do it the best way possible, but they basically said, hey, you got a buoyant force. So let's talk about the equation of the buoyant force. Rho GV. They used the density equation, and what they were looking at is the net forces. So was the buoyant force greater or less than the weight of the house? And then they figured out the buoyant force is equal to the weight of the displaced fluid. They were able to calculate the volumes and the masses, and they looked for the net force equation. You also have to show me constants, and you have to show me assumptions. So they said, okay, G is 9.8, the density of air is this number. The balloons were helium, and they assumed they were at 0 degrees Celsius. Again, they stated their things. Then they figure out the net force based upon that volume, and they get a number. So that's the net force created by the buoyant force of those balloons. Now, they also they had to look up some information. So they found the average size of a house. They found the weight of the average square foot of a house, and they figured out the total weight of a house. They converted that from pounds into newtons, and so they got the value of the weight of the house. So they have the buoyant force pushing up and the weight pulling down. They're trying to see if these things are equal or not. Now, they figured out that to actually have this happen, they needed a certain volume of helium. So the question is, do you have enough balloons of enough size? And again, they didn't do this super clearly. I would have preferred a little bit more clarity on what they were doing, but they knew what they were doing, but it wasn't clear to me as well as it should have been, I think. So the base idea is they said, well, a helium balloon can lift 10.9 newtons per cubic meter of helium. Then they found the volume of a party balloon, and then they figured out how many balloons do you need to do that. And so what they calculated is you need about 10 million balloons, over 10 million balloons to lift the house. Now, they actually found on Pixar's website, because apparently Pixar did some stuff about the movie, and they said in the scenes, they had various pictures of the scenes. They drew in, or the computer did, 10,000 to 20,000 balloons. And therefore, they said, based upon the number of balloons and what they used, this scene was impossible. So they used the physics and Archimedes' principle and buoyancy and Newton's laws to confirm that this can't be done. And then they listed their references at the end. Yeah, it's actually bogus, but you get the idea. So you have to pick a scene, find the movie clip, do the physics, and then tell me what your references were for the project. Now, I'll be honest with you, you're going to get a good grade, because if you do what you're supposed to, you're going to get a good score on this. A couple of the files that you probably need to see. I don't know why I don't have them here. Hold on one second. And again, I'll make a tab. I haven't done this yet, so I'm just throwing together this quick video for you. But let's see, projects. And I have a bunch of these, by the way. I have a bunch of Bad Hollywoods in the past, so I have each one of these years has like 20 or 30. And I started saving on my H drive. 2015, I switched over to my Google Drive. So there is a description sheet which I attached to today's lesson. And this basically walks you through what you need to do. So, for example, a very common thing to use is car scenes in movies. Fast and Furious. I think, Evan, you picked something from Fast and Furious. That's a hotbed of great Bad Hollywood, because most of those scenes are so impossible, it's unbelievable. Some of them are pretty good. Now, the intent is to try to make something that they're trying to be correct. For example, if you watch a vampire movie, Twilight movie were really popular years ago, I would not do that because vampires aren't real. So, a vampire flying, you're talking about a mythical beast flying, so, they violate rules of physics anyway. The idea is to try to find something where they're trying to be authentic and see if it can actually happen. And you could confirm that it's legit. You might say, well, there's no way in hell that scene's real. Then you do the math and say, oh yeah, I guess it was real. That car could fly over if the car was going 107 miles per hour, blah, blah, blah. So again, I said work with alone or with a partner, but this class is so small, I'm going to say each person does one. Choose a clip from a movie, TV show, commercial, or something trying to be real. Research the initial facts. You may have to measure angles and look up the mass of a car, or the height of a building, taking account you can actually slap a protractor on the video and find the angle, taking account wind, voltage, potential energy, momentum, whatever it happens to be. Provide an explanation. Please explain to me your calculations. Explain to me what you're doing. and then show me the math. You should show the math and show the calculations and come up with a conclusion. And again, the conclusion could support the scene. That's totally fine. You're going to create a Google slide presentation showing me the work. I normally have you, if you're in school, I normally have you stand in front and just present it. If you're at home, you can present it from home, but it's more fun when you're here. And again, it's a 5-minute presentation. You're just saying, hey, this is what happened, and this is what I found, and blah, blah, blah. Again, there are a ton of these things online. Please do not copy it. I'm going to Google your one. I'm going to look for, if you handed us something, I'm going to look for it. For example, the classic one is in the movie Titanic when Rose is on the door and Leo is dying in the ocean. There's a big debate whether Rose could have just pulled Leo onto the door and saved him as well, so he didn't have to die. If I ruined the movie for you, I'm sorry. And people have done that 1,000 times, but that's online. You can find that thing online. So if you do it independently, you're fine. If you do something else that's been done before, please don't do that. There is a rubric I'll attach. It basically says, hey, put together a decent clip. I want to be able to see what the heck you're doing. Explain the errors, support it with calculations and theory. Part of the grade is based upon your presentation. Is it nice looking? Is it well done? Do you include references? Is it fun? It's 50 points, and you're going to get a 50 out of 50 if you do a decent job. So I'm not looking to give you a bad score. It should be a 100. But like everything else, just don't do a crappy job. Do not wait. So like I said, the priority will be, first of all, the UConn final exam. I know for many of you, the UConn course is important because you can get the credit. So we'll focus on that first. I'm going to assign this now so you can get working on your leisure, but our class time will be spent doing the UConn. I got to figure out exactly what day I'm going to give the UConn test. And then as soon as we give the UConn test, I'm going to say, okay, let's finish up the Bad Hollywood projects and let's present. You guys probably know that you are done with the course on June 3rd. Grades have to be into the school on June 3rd. And I'm actually going to be AP scoring on June 4th, 5th, all the way through the end of the school year. So I'm only be in school after June 4th. So everything needs to be wrapped up by June 3rd. So that gives you a couple weeks to get ready for the UConn final, take the UConn final, and then do your Bad Hollywood research, put it together, and present it. This should only take you about a couple hours at the most. And again, you might get some class time. I'll try to develop a schedule laying out what we're doing each day. Okay? So the first thing you do is figure out what you want to do. So use this time to go online and try to find some movies that you might like or TV shows you like. Try to find a couple scenes, go onto YouTube so you can find the clip, and then sign up online. I will put together some stuff. By the time you see this, there'll probably be a topic on Google Classroom under the classwork tabs where I put the other tabs, and you'll see one called Bad Hollywood. Hit the sign up sheet. Look at this sheet, download all the paperwork, and then start doing it. And it's first come, first serve. So if somebody picks Fast and the Furious 7, then nobody else can do that one. There's enough out there that they should be able to find what they want to do. Okay? So that's the plan, man. Let me find my screen. I'm going to shut this bad boy down. I know many of you are going to be taking the AP tests next week, so I think I planned this for Tuesday, and I think a lot of people are taking AP tests that day. So if you don't see this in class, you can do it on your own leisure. I think next week they don't have any AP tests on Thursday, Friday. So you should be able to get this, at least the first step, done by Thursday, Friday of next week. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Good luck on your tests.